Okay, so just a bit of top ladder, a few games for 8k played. So the first game against Riley, see what he's playing. We're just playing some graveyard deck. Saw it somewhere, I thought it might be fun. So he goes for Goblin Barrel. We could use arrows, but knowing he has Princess, just safe to Skelly King, won't take too much damage. Goes for Princess, so here, got a few options. We have Zappies, we have Giant Skelly if we need. We can just Giant Skelly back, same then as the Princess. He still has to defend Skelly King, and he's still going to take damage if he leaves it after just the Skellies. So we can defend the Drill. He's playing Goblin Barrel and Drill. It's a bit of a weird deck, but pretty nice matchup. Got the arrows as well. Goes for Mighty Miner. So we can just leave that, knowing if he uses the ability, it will go to the Zappies and die, or it will just be in the Giant Skeleton Bomb die, as with the Princess. So Zappy's taking out the Fire Spirit, plus he has the Log. We can just Hunt to take out the Mighty Miner. And haven't taken too much damage, pretty decent spot. So we can just go for a Fisherman to tank for the Princess until it pulls it in. Goes for a Fire Spirit, so we can just snowball that, so we don't have to take the 274 damage or whatever it is. And then we can just once again go for the Skelly King on the Golden Barrel, so that we have the arrows for the Princess if we need it. Here it's nice because he goes for the Mighty, so we can just go Zappies, which is super nice. And then we have the arrows saved for the Princess when he wants to use it. And so we can get some arrows damage. He still has a lot to defend, plus we can ability, and then I'll have to log. So he gets down, nice log, bit of chip from the Skellies, plus we still have the Zappies and the Skelly King. So that puts us nicely in the damage lead. We're up Elixir as well. So we're in a good position going into double. He does have the Rocket for Spell Cycle, but I think with the Graveyard we can outchip. And so we go for Giant Skelly plus a Hunter, taking out the Gold Barrel and Drill. And then we have a nice counter push here, still up damage. If he goes for Mighty Mine, we have Zappies and Fisherman. Goes for Princess opposite lane, so we actually choose the Fisherman that in, which is nice, so we don't have to use the arrows. Then we Zappies with a Mighty Miner, then we have the Graveyard as well. And without the cannon in this deck, he's kind of going to struggle to defend. He hasn't got the best counters. Zappies on the Mighty Miner to reset. Graveyard getting a lot of chip damage, plus the Zappy still alive. And we just need one more Graveyard push, that should be game. He has the Princess down, but only with 30 seconds left, we don't really need to defend it. So we just take out that Princess, and then we can go for the Hunter on the right to take on the Princess, Zappies for the Drill, knowing that if he chooses to rocket that, we can still defend, then we should be able to Graveyard and take the tower. So he rockets down to 1051, 974 with the log, and we go for that Fisherman, knowing he's trying to cycle to a Drill, trying to get as much damage as he can just to take it out with a rocket. Nice Hunter to not take any, or maybe one hit from the Drill. Just go for Naked Graveyard, and then we can snowball on defense, because we know even if it gets a hit, it won't be enough for the rocket to kill it. And we take out the tower nicely with the Graveyard and arrows. So nice first game, just no big mistakes. Nice matchup to be honest, so can't complain. In the next game against Remy Eli, just back with MK Witch, because best deck. So this was a nice game. It's probably, I'd say, pretty even matchup if he plays well, which he tends to always do, good player. And so, especially with Log, because he has more to reset for the Prince charge. So we can just Prince the back. He's not got Falcon Cycle, so we can honestly probably MK the bridge here. Hasn't got the best hand to defend it. We don't, because we know he's going to have to Wall Breakers or Spear Goblins with the Marcher, and it may still get some damage. So he goes for Spear Goblins, we just ban it to take out the Wall Breaker. And then we go for Wall Breakers with this bandit so he can't get King activation. He goes for the Bomb Tower and the Log. So here we can set up for an MK push, we can just leave the Marcher. And he's down quite a lot of Elixir. He can probably defend, but he may take damage from it. So it seems to be a pretty good spot. So we go for the MK Prince. It's probably, yeah, you can just cycle MK Princes pretty often in this matchup, which is nice. A good defense with the Spear Goblins, and then we can just leave this still in the Elixir lead. That's going to die unless he defends it. So he goes for defensive Wall Breakers, it still takes a hit, so we don't need to do much to defend it. And so we can just go for a bandit plus miner, and the wall breakers as well, since we don't want him to get the king activation, so we're forcing him to defend with the bomb tower. And so a bit of chip damage, which is nice, up in elixir still. And I guess, yeah, he hasn't got the best counters if you just keep going MK Prince. You can miner the Marcher sometimes. Ideally avoiding the king activation though, because if he gets an early king activation, you will struggle. Because then his defenses are a lot easier and you can go quite aggressive. And so you're kind of just trying to make sure you can never get an offensive Marcher, which will do a lot of damage. You can play into the Marcher, which is fine. Ideally, you don't want to. But in this situation, when we're just getting big pushes into the Marcher, it seems to work out. So he has to spend a lot to defend. We get the 2 wall breaker connections, a nice bit of opposite lane pressure. Plus he didn't have the native there, so he couldn't have got king activation anyways. So we can set up for an MK push. He goes aggressive with the Valk wall breakers. Knowing that we can't defend those wall breakers and the Valk, we just let the wall breakers go. So we can just Valk, we still got the Prince from counter push. So that was actually a very smart play. Then he has to log the Prince. We're going to get a lot of minor chip here, plus the wall breaks opposite lane. The bandit dashing, MK jump, he defends with the Valk, so we're going with bats, knowing he'll have tornado. Then we can just go aggressive with the Prince, because we'll have to go wall breakers or spear goblins. We can also go for the bandit. And we can take the 1 wall breaker here, because we've cycled to another miner, chipping away. Go for wall breakers as well, bandit dash on the left, wall breakers taking out the bomb tower, goes for spear goblins, so we zap, knowing he'll have to go for nado. And a nice nado for the king activation. I guess in this spot we've got quite a lot of damage on both towers, so just keep applying pressure, making sure we can't get a miner on our tower. So we go for bandit, we go for miner here. Take out the Marcher, we've got Prince on the tower, he can't really defend it well. We go for zap, beautiful zap, and the final wall breaker connects. So quite lucky with that zap timing, but a nice game overall, good macro. No huge errors, and we just forcing him to play the way we want to. So the final game, I just saw, I think it was Mohammed Faster or someone playing this deck. Thought I'd try it, and then we match up against Ian in the game. The first and only game I played with it so far. And so, we know we'll play Hog. We just go for a Pekka on the Hog, seems like a decent play. We mess up a bit, so it still gets a hit. I guess we was too slow with the timing. And honestly, we can just go for a Graveyard here. Got the Pekka tanking, know how to defend with the Giant Skelly, plus Earthquake, plus maybe an Ice Spirit or Log as well. So he goes for the Ice Spirit, bit about even on damage now, Graveyard got a bit of chip. He also goes for a Log because he doesn't want that Pekka to get too many hits on the Giant Skeleton. So that's nice, pretty good spots so far. And honestly, a really, really nice matchup. We have so many ways to defend the Hog with the Goblin Cage as well. Plus the Fisherman for King activation, plus Hunter Snowball, plus Pekka, so a lot of ways you can't get hits, which is really nice. And we can always go Graveyard Poison, and you can't really do so much. So I think, yeah, a really, really nice matchup. We try to predict a Snowball, but we just play Snowball and nothing. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Because I think we know at this point we're going to win anyways. And I'm pretty sure he's on Twitter, like the cards weren't really placing. You can see it was sort of quite weird, the Earthquake in the opposite tower. I think we probably still would have won, but it would have been a lot closer. And like you can tell a few times where just he makes weird plays and it wasn't his fault because the game just wasn't working so well. So I guess that's why he keeps saying good game also. We can just go for Pekka, same lane. Go for Hunter there. We probably should have gone for Fisherman, just got the King Tower early. But I guess to have a Hunter that he has to defend, that works as well. And so we go for the Graveyard. We've got the Pekka Graveyard again. He's always having to spend his spells on defense. And we might get a bit of chip damage, so he's just not doing damage to our tower. We get a few hits slipping through. So it's always a nice play. Graveyard when you've got something tanking. As you'll see later, I do quite a lot of Graveyard Fishermans. Because that way I can still play Pekka in the defensive lane, so he has to play into a Pekka. And then we have the Fisherman tanking with the Graveyard Fisherman pushes. It's always nice. So decent defense, and this time we go Pekka into our offensive lane. So we're attacking on the left since we have the more damage there. Goblin Cage gets a hit on the cannon, which is nice. We go for high zappies. We know he wants to hog here, so we can wait till the hog bypasses the Giant Skeleton to Fisherman it onto tower. Then we can go for a Goblin Cage plus Hunter to defend the Giant Skeleton and Queen. So have a Pekka he has to defend. We just leave that because we know his bush is dead. Cannon's going to chip down the Pekka, and now we have another Pekka that we can go defensively with. Goes for a hog, it's going to get 2 hits, so we go for a snowball, nice timing, so just 1 hit on the hog. And then now we have pretty big push with the Pekka down, plus Elixir. And so we can just poison. I think you can always, especially in double and triple, just poison the cannons because you're just chipping away. They can't do that much. And we go for the Fisherman Graveyard to see. We also have a Zappy, which is nice. Actually a very good snowball taking out the Skellies and the cannon. Hasn't got so much Elixir since he had to use it to defend on the right with the Pekka. Fisherman gets a few hits and he has cannon out of cycle now, which is nice. Just defend with the Zappies. We know Earthquake, but then we can Pekka afterwards. Well, in this situation, just set up a Goblin Cage. He's got no Earthquake, so that will just be there preventing the hog. We can go for the Pekka there near our tower, because again, it's having to play into it or spend a lot of Elixir defending it. Either way, it works well for us. Go for a poison on the cannon tower. It's getting the 200, 300 ship, whatever it is. And then we can just go for Fisherman in the middle. We can just go for Graveyard Naked, to be honest, because he's always having to spend the 5 for 5, plus we'll get a bit of chip. As you see, a few Skelly hits at the back, which is actually a lot of damage. It's ridiculous, to be honest. So we just go for Pekka. This was nice, good predict of the hog. And considering he logged, just make sure we go for a snowball. And then here we go for split Zappies, so just supporting the Pekka. Plus forcing him to defend, we go for the Fisherman Graveyard again, plus poison. Very aggressive since he spent a lot on the right on that Pekka. Just chipping away, a snowball as one tower. Trying to get a few hits. Hunter now tower just to go to predict if he's on a hog. We get that one Fisherman hit. Go for Graveyard Poison again, and that's enough damage with the snowball. You can see again, unfortunate with that Earthquake. The card's not working so well. But decent game, super nice matchup, I think. But yeah, just pretty solid. Can always go for the Graveyard Fisherman, seems to work out. And that left us 21st, so not bad with 4 days left of the season.